Hello friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Today I have asked ChatGPT, our robot overlords, what are the 10 greatest men's fragrances of all time for summer? The criteria that I gave was that they had to take into account the impact that each fragrance had on the industry as a whole, the overall popularity of the fragrance, the uniqueness of the fragrance, the complement factor of the fragrance, and value for money. So using those 5 things, putting that together and coming up with the 10 best summer fragrances for men. And I did ask them to keep it to designers. And that's what we're gonna be going over, and I'll have each one of these linked in the description below. Feel free to check them out down there. And alternatively, pause the video now for some codes at different websites that you can use to save yourself some moolah. Now, this is in no particular order, so we're not going from 10 being the lowest up to 1 being the best. Basically, this is just the 10 that it spat out. This is the first fragrance that it gave me though, and it is Acqua di Gio. Yes, what a surprise. To be fair, if I were making this list and I were just deciding my own top 10 that I thought would be the best, taking into account the criteria that I gave just before, Acqua di Gio would probably be the first one that I come up with also. It's an enduring fragrance. It's still a best-selling fragrance, even though it's been out for going on 3 decades now and has spawned numerous different flankers. Really nice aquatic fragrance, very clean, a little bit sweet, nice white florals in there as well. You really can't overstate the impact that Acqua di Gio has had, the popularity, the compliment factor, and at this point, yes, the value for money, because at discounters, it's not too terribly expensive, all things considered. So Acqua di Gio, the first one that it gave me, and realistically, the first one I would have come up with as well. And let me know as we go through this list down in the comments, fragrances that you thought should have been here, but were left out, or fragrances that were included that you think should not have been there. The second fragrance is Nautica Voyage. And ChatGPT says about this one that it is a budget-friendly fragrance that has a fresh aquatic nature that is great for casual use, which, yeah, that's pretty much right. Nautica Voyage, one of the go-to cheapy fragrances for going on 2 decades now, still a bestseller on Amazon.com, and for that matter, most fragrance discounters as well. It still sells pretty well. And I have to say, for the price point, it's an extremely solid fragrance. Would I put that as one of the top 10 best summer fragrances ever? Maybe. I haven't actually tried to come up with that list of my own, so maybe it would, but nowhere near as high as Acqua di Gio for me, and a lot of the other ones we're gonna talk about would be higher than that as well, pretty easily. Still, solid for the price. So as far as bang for your buck, it's a good one. After that one, it is a Chanel, and it's Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum. Not a bad fragrance at all. Bleu de Chanel Eau de Parfum, quite possibly the best designer blue fragrance ever if we're talking about the versatility, the compliment factor, all of that rolled into one. Very classy, but at the same time can easily be worn casually. When it comes to Chanel though, I do question the Eau de Parfum over the Eau de Toilette for summertime use. The Eau de Toilette's a little bit fresher than this one is. And there's also the Allure Homme line, and some of those scents, maybe for some people, would be higher than Bleu de Chanel if we're talking summer fragrances specifically. And this is not a fragrance that I think of as a summer fragrance. It's more a year-round fragrance, but according to ChatGPT, one of the top 10 ever. The next choice is Light Blue from Dolce & Gabbana. This is another best-selling fragrance, so you do have to, I guess, give it points for that, give it credit for that. And for that matter, so is Bleu de Chanel. So I did tell it to take into account overall popularity. For me personally, I would go with some of the other light blues. I've said this before, I'll say it again, but this did set the mold for the entire line, and you have to give it credit for that. Aromatic, aquatic, fresh, clean. It will definitely get the job done during summer. Then we've got one from YSL. It is L'Homme. the original loam. This one has a fantastic opening, citrus and ginger done together extremely well. And that, for me, really helped kind of set the mold for that style of opening that has almost, to an extent, become synonymous with blue fragrance openings. Citrus plus ginger, fresh, sweet, appealing. It's got that instant attention-grabbing nature, so that if somebody is in a store and they spray this on a tester strip or spray it on themselves, they don't even think about it. They don't think about the dry down. They just smell the opening and go, oh, that smells awesome, I'll take it. This really nailed that formula. It does get a little warmer, a little sweeter, a little slightly heavier as it dries down. Not that it's a performance monster or anything, but still, that is a good choice for summer. Would it be top 10 best ever? I'm not sure, but I don't mind the choice. Now this next one, I definitely am on board with, and it is Dolce from Issey Miyake. This came out in '94, if memory serves correctly, which means it is coming up on its 3-decade anniversary. It's an aquatic fragrance, a little bit like Acqua in ways. I've talked about this before, but just look at the coloration scheme here. I mean, they're like cousins. So a sort of aquatic fragrance with some woods in there, and yuzu being one of the most prominent things in here that gives it a really unique flair. Love Dolce, and this one absolutely, I think, has to be in the list. Because when you're talking about that longevity, the compliment factor, bang for your buck, this one gotta be there. Then we got one from Versace, Eau Fraiche. Fresh, aquatic, a little bit woody, a little bit tropical, very easy to wear, semi-sweet, and it has comparisons or drawn comparisons to light blue for women from Dolce & Gabbana, only with a little bit of a more masculine tinge. Really good selling fragrance, still quite popular today, and a good bang for your buck. So I could see this one making the list. Even though it's a fragrance that I think a lot of people may not immediately think of, when you start to add up the criteria, it could sneak in. Now this one has to be in. It's Cool Water from Davidoff. Very inexpensive nowadays. It's been extremely popular now. Very inexpensive from discounters. It smells similar to Creed's Green Irish Tweed, only with a little bit more of an aquatic flair to it. Hence the name Cool Water. And this DNA still works today. Yes, it came out in the late 80s, but you can still pull Cool Water off. That one's comfortably in the top 10. I think most people, when you give them that criteria, the impact that it had on the industry, longevity, which I said overall popularity, but we'll just, you know, throw longevity into that as well. It's gotta make it. It's kind of right there with Dolce, with Acqua. Then we have the priciest one here by a pretty wide margin, Tom Ford, Neroli Portofino. Now, Neroli Portofino, for a lot of people, may be one of the more boring choices from this line by Tom Ford, but that's also because it's so popular and has been ubiquitous for so long. And to be fair, this type of scent just works. That sort of soapy, clean, classy, gentlemanly type of scent profile, making heavy use of white florals, it works during summer. So if you were gonna pick one of the Tom Ford private blend fragrances, even if there are ones that a lot of people would say that one's more interesting than the Neroli Portofino, I think if you're going for the safest, most obvious one in the line, it's that one. And the last fragrance in the top 10 best summer scents ever, according to ChatGPT, it is Artisan Pure from Barbados. Really like this one. It's clean. Once again, has a great citrus opening, a smooth, almost slightly creamy, but also fresh and juicy citrus opening, and a clean, easygoing dry down. It's a great scent in pretty much any situation you'll find yourself in during the summer. The question is it good enough to be in the top 10 best ever? And I'm not sure about that. I do think it's a great scent. I love the smell, like I said. Yeah, really nice. It's just when you're thinking of the best of all time that have ever been, that's a pretty tall mountain to climb. But ChatGPT thinks so. So, Artisan Pure. So there we go, that's the top 10. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know which ones you would drop out, which ones you'd put in, or if you just leave it how it is. Thanks for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.